Hey everyone, and welcome to our new episodes talking about 4 myths about living in New York City. My name is Nikolai, and this is Julia from NY Global Group.
Myth number 1. People think that New Yorkers are rude. Well, this is just not true. New Yorkers are always busy, they're eager to get to where they're going, they're very outspoken, but they're not rude at all. Native New Yorkers will just keep their head down, keep headphones in, and they'll just keep going to where they were going.
And another important thing to remember is that New Yorkers have their own perception about etiquette. Some of the things to do is never jump ahead of somebody into the cab. That's like a big no-no. Another one is you always hold the door for the person behind you. Then one more is you always tip your waiter. Like, this is a huge thing. I know in Europe it's not very common, but here it's a must. And then number 4, don't take forever at the counter.
Oh, we don't like that.
Yes, if you're ordering a coffee or something, you just go past it right through.
Everybody's in a hurry. New Yorkers have opinions. New York attracts passionate and career-driven people who always have something to say about business, politics, culture. So don't be surprised if somebody jumps in on your conversation and has something to say. That's just what happens when 8 million people live side by side. Myth number 2. New York City is noisy all the time. New York is known as the city that never sleeps. Many movies portray New York as a place where cars are always honking, people shouting and sirens screaming, which is true, but mainly in busy areas like Midtown or Times Square. But even those neighborhoods are pretty quiet in the wee hours of the morning.
At the same time, you get the best of both worlds in New York City because you have a ton of places that are open 24/7. You can almost get anything in New York at any time. You have grocery stores that are open all the time. You have cinemas that are open all the time, convenience stores, pharmacies. It's amazing. And at the same time, some of the famous places in New York, such as bars, they do have a final call. So most of New York City at some point goes to sleep.
Also, New York is not all concrete jungle. About 20% of our city is covered with parks and greenery where you can get some peace and quiet.
And the myth number 3 is that New York City is dangerous. And I can see where it comes from. I would say it comes from 70s and 80s when New York City was a real dangerous place. Like, you didn't want to be around Times Square before, but a lot of things have changed. There's been a lot of policies that have been implemented that made the city a lot safer. And actually right now it ranks, I believe, about 12th place in terms of the safest places in the United States. And I think we came a very long way, and New York City is actually a fun place.
And New York's crime rate is actually lower than the national average. So in most cases, just like in any other big city, if you are cautious, if you keep an eye on your bag or your purse, and if you keep track of your cell phone, you'll be just fine.
And the myth number 4 is that New Yorkers have a very heavy accent. While that may have been true many years back, while you heard a lot of accents from Brooklyn, from Queens, from Staten Island, from New Jersey, right now it's actually not the case. Right now, about 40% of people who live in New York and considered New Yorkers come from abroad, and often enough, English is their second language.
So you can still hear that New York City accent sometimes, but it's not as common as it used to be. You may be disappointed if you expect to come to New York City and hear that heavy New York City accent left and right. It will just not happen. But New York City makes up for it by being one of the most multicultural cities in the world.
We hope you found this video interesting, helpful, and learned something new about New York City. And if you have more questions about places to visit or restaurants to go to, feel free to reach out to us. And since we practice real estate, if you have any questions about renting, buying, or selling, we would love an opportunity to chat with you further. This is my partner Julia and Nikolai from NY Global Group.
Thank you for stopping by.